What's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster back here once again on this beautiful Sunday night, August 20th, 2023. It's about 10:24 p.m. California time. Still looking at some earthquake activity ramping up here in the Southern California area following a 5.1 earthquake earlier this afternoon. Now, a lot of this activity was actually prior to this 5.1 that kicked off earlier this afternoon. It's only showing a handful of quakes here prior to the 5.1 on this map, but we need to bring back, well, the last 7 days because we are over that 24-hour threshold there. So we're looking at roughly, well, let's see what we got here. About 102 earthquakes listed up on the map. All of these here were from basically yesterday. We had a couple 2s and 1s, all leading up to this 5.1 that we've seen today, as you can see. So not all of this is considered aftershock. There was a lot of foreshocks, so to speak. And again, we're closing in on a pretty big number of about 100, almost 100 earthquakes here near the Sulphur Mountain area outside of Ventura, just to the northwest here of Santa Paula area. A little uncertainty on the potential for this to be just foreshocks in general. There's always a chance, I would assume in this type of setup, that these could be foreshocks. So Mission Ridge fault, or potentially there's another fault system here just to the south, Lion Canyon fault. One of these is what it struck on. Either way, this is a very complex structure of faults that sits north of Ventura, and a couple different thrust faults up here. Now, these thrust faults can accumulate quite a bit of strain and produce some large damaging earthquakes. One of these faults out here, I believe we were looking at it earlier, said we could see about a 7.3, and it's been a long time since a major rupture here on this specific fault here, the Mission Red Mountain fault and the Mission Ridge fault kind of run together. So we're continuing to watch it. There's another 4.0 coming in right now as we speak. You guys see that? 2225? Just in the last 2 minutes here, 4.0, 8 kilometers deep. Now, I was just looking on the seismograph station here. There we go. I see it coming in. That's a Parkfield, California station there. That's about the closest one I can get right now that will obviously pick up most of the earthquakes, as Parkfield, California just sits up here to the north of the area of interest right now. So like I say, I keep saying could have a lot to do with the rainfall that they've seen over in this area, adding on to the potential for earthquakes. It could also have something to do with the area of circulation that was down here with Tropical Storm Hillary. I've read that in my classes I've studied in the years past, how sometimes pressure and weather can create a strain out here on the fault system. So, we'll continue to watch that. I think I'm going to issue an earthquake watch out here for now for Southern California with this elevated activity. Could see obviously something much bigger about ready to brew out here. We can't let our guard down. Got to be prepared. There's been a lot of rainfall out here in Southern California with the Tropical Storm Hillary. Just want to give you guys a quick glance here of the rainfall total so far. And I'm sure there's still more that's going to accumulate overnight. I think we got quite a bit going on still in Southern California. San Bernardino here, all seeing some rainfall. So this is just over the last, well, technically the last 7 days. But the majority of this has fallen here in Southern California in the last 2 days. Look at some of these rainfall totals out here, folks. They weren't joking. One of these stations reporting 11 inches of rain, almost a foot of rainfall. That's outside of the Indio area to the west, up here in the mountains. Specifically down here, looks like 2 to 3 inches were very common. Of course, mountains are going to create more uplift and more convective activity. So that's where we're seeing all that highest amounts of rainfall out here. 11 inches, 7 inches, 9 inches. Out here around the Los Angeles area, no shortage of rain either. Got upwards around 2 inches for the most part around the Los Angeles area. That's quite a bit. And of course, up in the mountains, there's going to be a lot more all this water accumulating, gonna drain off, run off into certain lakes. Someone was asking about the Salton Sea. Oh, no doubt. This will definitely fill up some of the area out here. The sea does not have an outlet. I don't know how many inlets far as the accumulation of water, but there's technically no outlet aside from the evaporation and the ground percolation, so to speak. But gonna watch this, folks, because the San Andreas Fault had a lot of rainfall on it. And I don't know how long it's going to take to maybe get down there and lubricate the fault and possibly produce an earthquake on that plate boundary. Definitely something to watch. I was watching, did they downgrade that? Kind of looks like they did, huh? It was a 4.0. Wait a minute, let's see here. Where'd it go? I guess it was this one right here, right? 3.6. It downgraded a little bit. Seen a couple earthquakes coming in right now. So it looks like there was 2 earthquakes in there. Notice that signature. One there and one here. Literally within seconds of each other. So the strain is here. The lubrication is now at the surface levels, and it could alter and put pressure out here on many different faults, including the main plate boundary. So I was listening to Dr. Lucy Jones. Okay, I posted that, and I will post a link to her video where she chatted about this 5.1 and the Pacific, or the specific fault maybe that it occurred on. And she was asked a question by a news reporter whether she believes all this rainfall on the in the Southern California area is going to affect the faults. And she was very I don't know, seemed to avoid the question. She mentioned about how groundwater, ultimately groundwater can create strain on fault systems nearby, but didn't really say whether she believes that takes place or not, as far as the rainfall out here on locked areas that could trigger earthquakes. She says that there needs to be patterns. We've seen patterns. We've seen a lot of rainfall and activity in low-pressure systems and cyclones and hurricanes affect plate boundaries and fault systems and actually activate them. So we'll see at the end of this. Here in a couple days, it could be tonight, it could be here in a week. Either way, she said that there needs to be patterns before they can actually say that rainfall does affect the fault systems out here. I think it does. That's a lot of rainfall these guys seen today. So we'll continue to watch that. Main area right now, of course, is this area north of Santa Paula area. Did I say Saint? I meant Santa Paula area. And as you can see, literally within the last 5 minutes, we've had what looks like 5 or 6 more earthquakes. There's that 4-pointer. It looks like it got downgraded to a 3.9. So things are, things are moving. Things are building out here. This could be ultimately something that could trigger a bigger one nearby. This could just obviously it's some strain that's been built up out here, whether it's the rainfall or it's just coincidence, wrong timing. It's something to watch, and we'll definitely study this. This area right here. Let's see how much rainfall they picked up here. That's going to be roughly up in. Let's see where we're at. I'm not super familiar with this area. There's Santa Clarita over here to the east. So here's Ventura. Looks like it'd be up here in this area potentially. And they've seen well over an inch of rain, a couple inches of rain here in certain areas. And more so, of course, in the higher elevations. But it's definitely something to watch, right? Look at this. All these earthquakes here in the last few minutes popping up. So now's the time, if you're not prepared, it's a good time to be prepared. Get prepared just in case this is leading to something much bigger. While it may be in this area, or it could potentially just be just general strain out here across Southern California, and we see the San Andreas Fault go tonight. Don't know. Can't really accurately predict it, but it's definitely worth watching. And with this type of activity, I think that kind of leaning towards the percentage here, possibilities that this may be leading to something bigger. So Parkfield, California, picking up all these earthquakes right now. You can see the main one there was at 3.9, and it looks like that was followed up just a second later by couple seconds later by 3.4, and so on. Either way, it's pretty active, folks. So we'll continue to watch that throughout the evening. Also, Northern California got a little earthquake up here. 2.1, 9.8 kilometers deep. I do want to give a quick glance here at the tremor map here tonight. Cascadia tremor. About 77 epicenters of tremor down dip into the subduction zone of the Cascadia. All right, rest of the map here. Hawaii has been lighting up as well since California has been moving, so it could have something to do generally with the activity out here across just this area of the Pacific Plate. Very minimal movement here across the Western Pacific normally means that this area is heightened and very active, and that's what it looks like right now, right? I think we could agree that the Eastern Pacific over here is pretty active. Very minimal movement across the Japan area into the Kurokamachaka. Some deeper activity here outside the Philippines, but generally light movement. So things are, I think, on key here. We're on cue, I should say, for some potential further movement out here across the West Coast. Got to be prepared. As far as the rest of the world goes, some minimal activity. Looks like Eastern Afghanistan, deeper quakes going on out there. I did see some activity South Sandwich Islands, 5.7 from earlier today. Northern edge of that subduction zone. As far as any major large-scale movement around the globe, doesn't look like it. 5.5 off the coast here of the Ecuador, Peru area, it looks like. Actually, it doesn't even look like USGS is reporting that. This is from the EMSC 5.5 here. Either way, folks, be prepared. We'll see how this rainfall affects the fault system out here. It's, say it does, right? Say that does produce a big earthquake overnight here or in the coming days. I think the record books here, or at least geology books, would have to include that, the potential how weather can stir things up, rainfall accumulation. We already know there's been chat about why we haven't seen the big one yet down in Southern California, and that's because of lake levels and shrinking, obviously. But now, all that rainfall going to be filling up Salton Sea area and other lakes around the San Andreas Fault. So I think this is a test. Definitely pay attention out here. There's Hawaii. Let's get back there real quick, see what's going on. We've got a little bit of movement stirring up across the Kilauea volcano. A couple smaller quakes, it looks like, here in the last couple hours. 2.5 and a 2.0 there. Nothing major, but we are noticing a little bit of activity lighten up here in the last hour. Aleutian Trench pretty active up here as well. But all eyes right now, I think, along the west coast. All right, far as the activity goes for tropical, what is it right now? Is it a tropical depression? Still tropical storm Hillary. Area of circulation here is just around the Los Angeles area, it looks like. As of 8 p.m. That was a couple hours ago, so they should update here. But dying pretty rapidly. It's moving off to the north-northwest at 28 miles per hour. And like I said, there's still quite a bit of rainfall going on up here in the Southern California area. A lot of it's moving up into the San Joaquin Valley area, and up into the Sierra Nevada mountains. So we could see some further activity overnight down here. Still pulling up some moisture with some convection there outside of San Diego and Temecula area. So we'll get a total tomorrow. Far as that the tally goes for the rainfall accumulation. All right, I think that's going to be it, folks. I'm going to jump off here and just kind of watch this activity throughout the night. That's just a lot of activity. 82 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. Now remember, there was a pretty good swarm prior to this. A lot of people saying, wow, there's been 80 aftershocks. Well, what about all the earthquake activity prior to this 5.1? That's why I'm thinking this is leaning towards some type of sequence of events here. That could be something much bigger than what we're seeing. I mean, look at all this activity in the last 15 minutes that I've been chatting. That's just too much activity. Remember the Ridgecrest area? Seen something similar. Then the next day they had a bigger earthquake, 7.1. It was back on July 4th, July 5th, 2019. So pay attention out here. This is not anything to joke about. There's a lot going on out here. A lot of stress been built up over the hundreds, if not thousands of years around certain fault systems, and I believe this is one of them. I think someone said there, or geologists claim that there's at least 11 meters of offset here far as strain goes. So that's, pretty much like a spring. That's a lot of accumulation. So Southern California, just be on guard here over the next few days. I think it's noteworthy to pay attention to how the water is going to affect the faults out here and the plate boundary itself. Let's see if anybody felt that 3.9. I'm sure they did. A few folks did report feeling it. Looks like mainly around the Ventura area, Santa Paula area, Oakview. A few folks reported some light shaking. So expect that to continue. Again, there's always that possibility. Not fear-mongering, but there's always that possibility of something much bigger brewing out here along this fault. Considering it's been relatively quiet. This isn't really an active fault zone. Obviously, it accumulates stress over time, but we're now seeing, letting us know basically that the fault is still very much alive, and that no doubt I think it's about 7.3 or so that this fault system can produce. It's a thrust type fault too. Certain thrust faults in here can add that feeling of a more powerful earthquake with that with the accumulation that builds up in thrust faults. So we'll continue to watch that, folks, overnight. Again, the local station is going to be the Parkfield area that picked up these earthquakes, and there's more coming after that. And I'm sure we'll see more tonight, if not something bigger. Best thing to do is be prepared. I'm going to jump off here, folks, and get a little bit of sleep, just in case it's a big day. But either way, I got a big day tomorrow. I start my my first day fall semester class up here at the college. Second year, at least at this college. So gonna focus on that throughout the day tomorrow, but also be doing updates in the morning. And if anything else pops up here overnight, we'll definitely cover that first thing in the morning. Please subscribe while you're here. Latest updates with regards to volcanic activity and whatnot. Space weather, there's not a whole lot going on. As you can see right now, the sun is very weak in terms of sunspot activity. So hopefully that will pick up in the coming days. Have a good one. Please stay safe out there. And again, have an earthquake.